kids. Nobody met Grandpa at Golden Corral again, so he decided to cause a ruckus. Let's look. Since I made that Bud Light video the other day, and the world is currently run by Google, who uses cyberstalking as its main method to sell me things, I've obviously been seeing many related articles, which of course led me onto this little gem here of Grandpa, or Pappy, or however you call him, becoming the latest person to buck the trend of the modern woke mind virus.
If you'll excuse me, I'm gonna go on woke social media and watch a blue-haired feminist do virtue signal.
No. Like Canadian powerlifter Avi Silverberg. This kind of stuff pisses off the biggest guys, doesn't it? I mean, it sure is a relief when you hear someone pissed off at you and you turn around to see who it is and, oh, it's just Mad Spider-Man. Thanks. Whew, that could have been close. Someone could have beat me up. Anyway, the protagonist of our story is extremely renowned amateur poker player Dave Hughes, a 70-year-old Florida casino goer who made literal news headlines this week from entering an all-female poker tournament and taking home the dub. Now, obviously, with the more relevant social issues that I previously brought up being current political topics and the fact that the same news organizations who covered those were also covering this story, I just simply assumed, probably the design of the fact, by the way, but I assumed that this was in the same category, a form of social protest, or even accelerationism if you look at it from the right lens, you know, the taking the most absurd kind of self-described personal identity and ruining a competition with it, right? This narrative was immediately shattered in my brain, however, when I had one simple thought. Why is there a women's poker league? Now, I must admit I'm not the largest poker fan. In fact, I haven't seen the game being played since they used to air it at 3 a.m. on ESPN. However, I just simply don't understand a way that this game doesn't fall under the heart of the cards category. But before we look at any of that, let's first read this story from Chad Holloway at pokernews.com, your number one stop for poker news. Anyway, essentially what happens is, on a Saturday night, the day of the World Poker Tour's $3,500 Seminole Hard Rock Poker Showdown. Across the room at the same casino, there was a ladies-only event called the $250 Ladies No Hold'em. I love the way it's phrased here. Unfortunately, one of the competitors was a man. I don't know, it just gives off, this is the one thing we didn't want to happen vibes. You guys know that?
Last month, the notorious paedophile Sidney Cook was blasted into space to spend the rest of his life aboard a one-man prison vessel, posing no further threat to children on Earth. But it was revealed that an 8-year-old boy was also placed on board by mistake and is now trapped alone in space with the monster. A spokesman said, "This is the one thing we didn't want to happen."
Like, yeah, sure, I understand what he's doing is a dick move and everything, but whose fault is it really? You'd think semi-pro to professional gamblers would be super, sticklers about the rules for things, especially. Although, as you can see by this B-roll footage, I just watched simply too much anime. After this, then the author notes that per state law, management is unable to bar a man from entering a ladies' event in Florida. And so now he's broken no rules and no laws, and this is somehow more his fault? Everyone knows if someone would just meet this man at Rupee Tuesdays every Sunday, then none of this would be happening. However, this goof set, and I never thought I'd say this phrase out loud in my life, but poker Twitter ablaze, with thousands of people, including many top players, or at least what I assume are top players, maybe they could all suck, took the opportunity to give their unique perspectives. And while of course the general Twitter public's response to this was as you would expect, it turns out that the average poker pro may be a little bit based. So based in fact that I have to save a couple of them for the end of the video. For now, let's look at this tweet by Kmart, or Kevin Rob Martin. Fun fact here, looking at this tweet and the replies and the people replying to it, it instantly made sense as to why these opinions seem so based. It's because they're boomers. Far, far beyond the age of changing their political beliefs and personality traits in order to fit in, boomers almost seemingly take joy in having an unpopular opinion these days. Kind of like how kids will say anything if you make them feel kind of dumb, If you walk up to a kid and say, hey, do you know that deodorant's edible? They'll be like, pfft. Of course. Take a giant bite of fucking degree. Anyway, leave it to a non-American to make a good point in situations like this. Such as UK poker player Charlie Carroll. He made such a level-headed, even statement, in fact, that I was going to end the video here. It's not too mean, it's not too nice. It pokes fun at the actual problem instead of the supposed problem. I mean, nobody cares that this guy entered a women's poker league. It's just kind of the whole dudes entering women's things and dominating them motif of 2023 is just not sitting well with a lot of people. Like that high school girl who got her jaw destroyed because she was playing volleyball against a dude.
My ability to learn, retain, comprehend has also been impaired, and I require accommodations at school for testing because of this. I could go on and on about how this incident has affected my life, but I'm not here for that, because I'm not here for me. Because for me, I know that my time playing is coming to an end. I'm here for every biological female athlete behind me. My little sister, my cousins, my teammates.
You know they put that in their highlight reel. Like, I'm not even joking, they literally put that in their highlight reel. That would be like if Floyd Mayweather was like, oh yeah, making a highlight reel, put together some of his best fights, you know, Manny Pacquiao, Jake Paul, his wife. Like, well, you don't put those in the fucking reel. And now we can circle back to my actual question here. I understand a much stronger, bigger, faster, taller man competing against a woman, especially in a combat sport, is not fair. But what about the heart of the cards is male dominated? And then I thought something else. Why would I sit here and think about it when I can just milk Reddit for content and make fun of Redditor? You guys don't even know. You're on the verge of daily slop. Take note, this is almost from 10 years ago, posted by user Sock13. Explain like I am 5. Why is there a women's poker league? I can understand why sports leagues like the NBA and the WNBA are separated, but why would there be 2 different leagues for poker? Aren't they doing the same thing? Such a good question. You see, as you probably know, usually on this website, any question you ask will be filtered through whatever the current neoliberal, leftist, gay, queer lens is. In fact, there's this weird paradox where the least political thing you talk about will have the most leftists telling you why the actual reason why Geppetto was a bastard to Pinocchio is because of capitalism. However, if the hug box is soft enough, if the echo chamber is echoey enough, then other people will agree and shout down any normal opinion. However, what happens if everyone involved is a normie and there's one crazy left? What happens if everyone else in the conversation simply wants to talk about poker and has actual poker-related answers to these questions? Naturally, it starts with this special comment by our friend Paul Douglas, making a fool of himself on the internet 9 whole years ago, serving out such standout excerpts such as, however, due to the fact that women didn't play poker until very recently relative to the invention of the game, which I'm not looking that up. You just know it's false. I don't think the patriarchy segregated card games. I mean, that would be cool. It'd be funny, but I don't think it was feasible. The good thing about this being a 10-year-old comment is that I don't have to read the whole thing because you know what it says. As you may or may not know, poker is a chance-based card game where there is, however, a large interpersonal factor. The bluffing and the calling and the pudding pops. And so, of course, the sane people have a normal conversation about differing levels of aggression and confidence and the like, to the point where they've noticed that Paul Douglas and his idea that women didn't figure out the card game until, 2008. Maybe poker isn't sexist. Maybe Paul Douglas is just the sexism that we met along the way. Final verdict, get good.